Hey, what's up everyone? I am doing a solo after theater review of Truth or Dare. So, let me do this exciting announcement before I get into the review. I would to give a shout out to my very first Patreon supporter who decided to do the Netflix and chill follower. That'll be Alice. Thank you for joining the ranks of Muddy Cult and becoming a Netflix and chill follower. And if you want early access to any of my videos or posts that I put on my blog on Muddy Cult, you can join Patreon too. So let's jump right into it. So I recently saw Truth or Dare and I went alone. I was planning on going with a coworker of mine, not Buenaventura, but another coworker, that he took a couple weeks vacation and I hadn't seen him in a while, and he normally likes going to these like little scary movie type of things, and seeing the preview to this movie, it looked like pretty much like a fun time, so I was like, yeah, why not, you know what, whether he goes or not, I'm just gonna go see it anyway, because I feel like I need to have a little fun, and I needed to like do something for me, because it was a busy day, it was a Saturday, and normally I'm not off on Saturdays, so I decided to go see this movie. If you don't know what Truth or Dare is about, the movie is about according to IMDb, Truth or Dare is about a harmless game of truth or dare among friends turns deadly when someone or something begins to punish those who tell a lie or refuse the dare. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much the gist of what the movie is about. So, for more description, it's about a group of about, I think, 5 or 6 friends, and they decide to have their last hurrah together, their last spring break, and they go off to Mexico, and, you know, the usual college shenanigans happen. There's jealousy among the group, and people are hooking up and just having a good old time with alcohol, making out, and almost some sexy times. And a mysterious man named Carter comes to our main character Olivia and charms the pants off of her. Not literally, unfortunately. But he decides to mix up things and convinces them to go to this old haunted convent of sorts, and they decide to play a little game of Truth or Dare. When it is during this game of Truth or Dare, of course, things happen and conflicts arise, people are a little uncomfortable and whatnot, and then the truth comes out that Carter's plan was to bring them in to become cursed as well like him, and now they're being followed by this mysterious entity, and now they have to play Truth or Dare until someone dies. Pretty much Truth or Dare was kind of what I expected it to be. I wasn't expecting it to be like this amazing, mind-blowing movie that I'll be telling all my friends, oh, you have to see it, it's the best horror movie I've seen in a really long time. But it also didn't look like it was gonna be like the worst garbage that I have like checked out from work, because I like to watch a lot of bad horror movies, and I'm sure you guys all know that from like reading stuff from my blog, and every now and then I'll mention, yep, this is another one of those bad movies that looked really interesting and I just needed a little kick. So this was not one of them. I could tell that this had some potential to at least give me like a good time, and it won't make me upset that I like spent, you know, $6.49 or whatever for a ticket, and, you know, went in and, you know, watched for an hour and a half or so a horror movie. So yeah, not disappointed. I try to avoid as much spoilers as possible. I'm not the type of person to seek out trailers or previews or anything online. I think that kind of ruins the movie for a lot of people, because A lot of trailers go on way too long. If you want to use the method I do, if you are looking up trailers online, and you don't want to know a lot, try to pick any trailer that is under a minute long. Anything longer than 1 minute is going to give you too much information. And honestly, a lot of the ones that are uploaded on YouTube are usually more than a minute long, which is just way too long. So pretty much whatever first pops up on TV, those are the best trailers, because then after a while when the movie's in theaters and it's been there for like a couple weeks, they show more and more in the movie and it just kind of ruins it for you. So yeah, honestly, just the best way to go about trailers is not to seek out the trailer, let the trailer find you, and then you won't know too much. But what I'm trying to say is that I try not to listen to too many reviews or look up too many reviews, and when they do mention that a spoiler is going to happen, I didn't I would stop the video because I'm like, I don't want to know, even though I'm sure it's not that big of a deal, because it's pretty much kind of an almost paint-by-numbers type of horror movie. And Chris Stuckman did his review. I listened to part of his, and it was in his Hilariocrity, I think, reviews. Then it was pretty funny because it was a pretty silly horror movie, and it's like, yeah, they kind of go through the steps of, they don't know what's going on, and then they figured out how things work, and they have a little research montage and all of this. So pretty much Truth or Dare doesn't really bring anything super new to the horror movie genre. It's stuff that you've seen, but it still brings a good time. One thing that I do disagree with that he mentioned in part of his review, because I didn't watch the whole thing, was that him and his friend, or the person he was reviewing with, were saying that a lot of the characters didn't care, they were unlikable, and that they didn't care that the other died. They just kind of got over it very quickly, and in some ways I can kind of agree a little bit. In other ways I don't. I feel like they did care about the deaths. They just kind of had to sometimes I feel like they had to just quickly adjust to the situation and just solve the issue, but I guess at times they didn't, sit and grieve for too long. They just kind of oh, my friends died, da, 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 da. So it's not a forgotten part, but I can kind of see how that's kind of might be a bother, that they just didn't care. And the characters, when I went into it thinking about Chris and his friend that he was reviewing with saying that these characters were unlikable, I kind of was nervous, because I did do a post about the problem with horror movies is unlikable characters that are just there to be killed, which you could check out the post below because I'll put a link there. I didn't really have that problem. I kind of, to some extent, cared about the characters, especially Olivia and her best friend and her best friend's boyfriend, which I guess I could look up their names and whatnot, because I really don't remember. Let's see. Was it a Jason or something? Oh, it was a Lucas, I think. Yeah. Lucas and Marky. So I cared about them enough because they seemed like good people. Marky was dealing with the loss of her father, and Lucas was just an overall good guy that cared about, both Olivia and Marky. And of course there was this odd love, I don't even want to say love triangle, because I think that's just badly worded, because that would just mean all three of them love each other. It's more of a love-bee. So of course everybody had their secrets against each other and stuff, but yeah, so there were a couple characters that were unlikable. I think one was the most unlikable, and he was just supposed to be that character you don't care about and you want him to go, you wouldn't be sad if he died or whatever. And that's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer that he dies. But he's kind of like, he's pretty much a dick. Like, all he cares about is, like, you know, getting some, and he's just really rude and sexist, and he just kind of just comes into the group. He's not really their friend. I think Olivia and this character has some history or something, because she's always trying to, like, avoid him and whatever. So, one thing, so I did like the group of characters and how different they were and stuff, and not all of them were unlikable. Maybe a couple of them were. One was more unlikable than the other, the guy that does die in the trailer. And another character was just a little bit unlikable. Like, he was okay, but, I mean, he had his own problems. Like, he became kind of, like, dickish, like, when the Truth or Dare curse started. Like, I mean, they got about, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 Truth or Dare questions in or something like that. Then he became kind of unlikable, but some things that I liked about this movie. I liked the beginning of the movie, that it just kind of puts you in with this this mysterious woman coming into a convenience store, and then all of a sudden she has to pick Truth or Dare, and and she decides to do it, and then it just jumps into where our main characters are. So, and I like how they quickly kind of set up their personalities, the little bit of personalities that they need. They're not really deep personalities or backstories. There's just maybe a little bit with certain characters that matter, like Olivia and Marky and Lucas. There's some backstory into them. The other characters, not so much, but I don't think that takes away from the movie. I also liked that a lot of the violence was not shown, so you could just kind of imagine how gruesome the consequences were. So, like the guy that falls on the pool table, you kind of see the collision of him hitting his head on the table, and like I said, this is not a spoiler, because it's in the trailer. You do see that, but like after that you don't see like a puddle of blood or anything like that. So I really like that they didn't really show the gore. I think like not showing and just letting the audience like picture how gruesome things are, I think that is more effective than showing someone, you know, shooting themselves in the head or falling off of a roof or whatever. I think that was a lot. I think that's just a better choice than, you know, showing the gore. I think that would have just, like, I don't know, threw off the tone of it kind of being a somewhat, like, silly, entertaining, fun horror movie. What else? Even though it followed kind of that pay by numbers of like, oh, they do some research, then they find some people, the police are kind of unhelpful, they figured out how to break stuff, like, I thought that was fine. I didn't have any problems with it. It's just another movie that just proves that I will never ever go to Mexico because curses are in Mexico. But yeah, the characters that needed to be unlikable were unlikable, but they weren't, like, annoyingly unlikable. Maybe the one guy, but I think he kind of needed to be that one character. Because you have to have at least that one character that you find annoying and you don't like, and you don't mind that he dies. So, like, he's kind of like that character's like that buffer before you hit to, like, characters you're kind of like, well, I kind of like you. I mean, I'm not truly invested in you, but I do kind of like you a bit, and I kind of want you to stick around just a tad. Okay, so I also like the diversity of the characters too. One of the actors that I saw, let me see what his name is. Hayden Zesto, probably said his name wrong. He plays Brad. He's the Asian guy, and he was in this movie called Edge of 17, and I really like this character in that, and I like this character in this one. He's kind of a semi-closeted gay man, so his parents don't know that he's gay. So there's kind of like a little, like, subplot with his character. There's a lot of subplots with some of the characters. Some of them aren't spoken about too often. Like, I figured something would occur with the alcoholic friend. Nobody really like mentioned that, she's an alcoholic, but it's pretty obvious that she is, and of course the entity kind of takes advantage of her drinking habits. So most of the subplot had to deal with Marky and Olivia's relationship, which I think was probably the best choice, which is to like explore their relationship because it follows them throughout the whole movie. Because it starts off with Marky saying, hey, this is the last spring break we'll be able to do something together. Well, Olivia is the goody good girl, and she's just like, no, it's just so silly, I'd rather, build houses or whatever. So some things I didn't like about the movie. Jump scares? I made a whole post about jump scares. I probably need to make like an updated post about why I don't like jump scares. I think they're cheap and silly, and they just make me mad when I do jump, because I'm like, I expect it to happen, and it's just the noise that just catches me off guard sometimes, and it just makes me just angry instead of scared, which is not a good thing. So I did not care for the jump scares. This could be a semi-negative thing, was just the way the demon affected everybody. It had this, like, weird, I guess, filter thing where their eyes got a little bigger and they had this, like, weird grin. I thought that was kind of, it's, like, a little creepy, just like, get away from me, why do you look this way? So I guess it does kind of somewhat adds to the creep factor, but it also adds to kind of how silly this movie is. I don't think you ever get to see the demon, which I think is fine. I don't think that's a negative. I think that's a positive, honestly. But I thought the effect thing was kind of, I don't know. I don't know what else they could have done to like show possession, but I guess that's okay. It kind of goes with like, I don't know, social network and technology culture or whatever. What else? I guess kind of that's it. Certain choices the characters make, some of the reactions some of the characters have sometimes just seem ridiculous, and I just don't, like, get it. Like, I can't really say because it would kind of spoil the movie a bit, but there's a moment somewhere toward the end of the movie, before the final act, that one person reacts to a secret that was being kept for years, and they just kind of disappear. And, I understand you would be that upset of it, but I don't know. I think it just could have been executed better or something. Another, I guess not negative or positive, I kind of like the way things ended, in a way. And I also like the backstory of the entity too. I thought that was kind of, interesting. It was like nothing new. It's like, okay, more like child abuse, because we need more child abuse in horror, right? Overall, I would probably give this about 3.5 stars. I feel like whenever it comes on DVD, I'll most likely will watch it again, kind of like Happy Death Day. Eventually I will have a review for that at some point. I enjoyed this movie. I had fun. When people ask me if they should see it, I'm like, hey, if you want a good entertaining time, check it out. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It's nothing spectacular or anything, but if I can have fun with a movie, I think that's a plus. One thing that I will advise parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, whatnot, don't bring your children that are like I don't know, under the age of 11 or 10 years old to the movie in the daytime. Like, go in the afternoon or go in the evening. I don't know. Teach them some theater manners to, like, not talk through the whole movie, because I was surrounded by a lot of kids. Like, a lot of, like, grandparents and parents, I think aunties and uncles or whatever, that brought, like, their 2 or 3 children, because they would be talking during the movie. I mean, they would shut up every now and then. Like, they didn't talk through the whole movie, but I thought that was kind of distracting. Also, there was like a sex scene in it, and I heard one parent over in the back behind me saying, "Oh no, we gotta like cover the kids' eyes," and I was like, "Well, why'd you bring them to this movie? I know it's a PG-13 movie, but I think some children shouldn't see certain movies, I guess. Like, this one wasn't like the worst thing that children could see, but I mean, it is distracting for adults who go see it when they're like talking and stuff. Although one of them did say something funny, I think like the phone rung or something, and they said, "Oh, it's the truth," and I thought that was hilarious. But everything else, I just kind of, a lot of the time I was just like, I wish they would just shut up. I just want to enjoy the movie. I just want to enjoy this quiet and this, it's just all enjoying and interacting with the movie before I have to go work on a thing. I don't know. But anyway, so that's it for my review. I did enjoy Truth or Dare. If you want to check it out, it's still in theaters as I'm filming this. And if you would like to see more after theater reviews, please, and other videos that I make, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I will certainly be happy to share some more after theater reviews. I think the next review I'll probably be doing is A Quiet Place, which a coworker said that he had problems with teenagers talking through his movies. Just, you know, be careful with your commentary during the theater. Like, I don't mind if you talk just a little bit, but just don't talk too much. I'm guilty of it, clearly. And once again, if you want to see this video at earlier, like a week early, you can subscribe to my Patreon page, which will be listed below as well, but it's totally not necessary. But you can, because I'm doing a lot of great perks lately. So I'll see you guys next time in the next video. Peace.